What's up, legends, and welcome back to another Meta Monday video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ladder Season 3 SALMON, which stands for Seasonal Analysis of Ladder Meta and Other Novelties. I made a Salmon video for Season 2, so this will follow kind of the same format as that. And yes, I'm aware that it is Tuesday when this video is going out. If you recall, the Season 2 video also went out on a Tuesday, so excuse me, I guess that's just going to be a running meme now. If you are unfamiliar with Ladder, it takes place over at UMLeague, the greatest website to ever exist in the history of the world. Link in the description, where every month there is a competitive format with a limited roster of both heroes and maps that creates its own unique meta for that month. And so today I'm going to be analyzing that meta, giving my thoughts on who I think the best heroes will be, just because it's kind of a fun little exercise to do. I love analyzing metas and kind of figuring out who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. And it was so much fun last time, I decided, hey, I want more fish. So we are going to return to another salmon video for Ladder Season 3. Let's start by just reviewing Season 2 and kind of reflecting on the pretty poor tier list I made at the beginning. Yeah, so on the left you can see my preseason. Yeah, on the left you can see my preseason tier list, and on the right you can see my postseason tier list after the fact, after all the win rates and games have been calculated. And I was very wrong about Luke Cage, is all I will say. I have some data to back up my claims that we'll talk about in a little bit, but I guess just looking at both lists, I was kind of right about InGen, Moon Knight, Little Red, Alice, Jekyll, and Arthur. I was pretty wrong about Bayo. He was not super great this season. Bloody Mary was actually worse than I thought she'd be, unfortunately. Ghost Rider, a little bit worse, surprisingly, but not unfortunately. And Luke was so much better than I could have imagined. I predicted that Luke would just not do well into basically everyone. I thought the Moon Knight matchup would be way Moon Knight favored. I thought Beowulf, InGen, Little Red, Ghost Rider, and Jekyll could all consistently beat him, but it turns out that is not necessarily the case, so we'll talk about that right now when I bring up my stats and data. So all this data is from UMLeague. It is all the plays and the win rates of the different heroes throughout the season. You can see there's a win rate versus plays graph at the bottom that I'll talk about in a little bit. And as I'm talking about each hero, I will be referencing some of these stats from UMLeague, which again, the link will be in the description. And that's where I'm getting all my data from. I'm not necessarily saying it's the most accurate, but it took place over a month, and like this is the data, so we're gonna say it's we're gonna say it's useful. You can see on the chart that kind of the heroes are separated by tiers. There's a red dot all the way on the left by itself, then 3 dots around the 40% win rate, 3 dots around the 45% win rate, and then 3 dots all around the 60% win rate, which is kind of visible in how I tiered the heroes too. Starting with King Arthur, he had the worst win rate at 31%, and he had the least amount of plays. So yeah, he was the worst hero this season by far. Bloody Mary had the 9th highest win rate and the 9th highest play rate, or I should say the 2nd lowest play rate. She's kind of like a specialist hero. You really have to know what you're doing with her, and there weren't a lot of good matchups this season for her, besides maybe Little Red, and she actually did pretty well into Ghost Rider too. So unless you were Chad, and I don't even think he was consistently picking her, she was just not very good this season, unfortunately. Ghost Rider is next, and this might have been surprising because you might have been like me and expecting just vroom vroom degeneracy, but it turns out even that strategy isn't really good against some heroes. He just decimated Alice. He won that matchup 83% of the time. But outside of her and Jekyll and Hyde, who he beat 63% of the time, he really didn't have a favorable matchup. And He had close, like 50-50 matchups into Luke, Little Red, and King Arthur, but everyone else just completely dominated him. So he just wasn't very good this season, which I think is a good thing because I don't like his play style. I don't find it fun to play as or against. So um, I'm sorry if you're excited about him. He's just not really something that I enjoy. So I'm kind of glad to see him suffer, but it is unfortunate, I guess, with all the controversy and stuff surrounding him. It is a little sad when you see he got like half as many plays as the other Redemption Row heroes, because those three heroes were the new set. This was like their first foray into the competitive scene of Unmatched, and it's kind of sad to see him get left out like that. Jekyll and Hyde, he is a pretty bad hero with poor consistency. Really only succeeded against Luke Cage. He won that 64% of the time. Also decent into Little Red and Beowulf, both at a 50% win rate, but just other than those three heroes, not very good. And I think most people know why. Even Zero Skater didn't even touch him. Alice is next on my tier list, and you might find this a little bit surprising because she had the fourth highest win rate, but how many of those plays were Zero Skater? He went on a complete tear with Alice and just dominated the poor ranks of bronze and silver that he really only played in the last week, and he played a ton of Alice. So I think her win rate is bumped up by getting a lot of wins from a two-time tournament champion. So I think she's a little lower than the win rate would suggest, but she is kind of the first hero in that next clump of dots around the 45% win rate. I had Beowulf next, and then Little Red. They were kind of just a little mediocre this season. Beowulf didn't really beat anyone that mattered. He had close to 50%, but slightly unfavorable matchups into Luke Cage and Moon Knight, and couldn't really beat InGen that consistently either. And I think those were the three heroes to beat this season, so he wasn't as strong as I projected. Little Red, on the other hand, actually beat Beowulf like 82% of the time. How many plays was that? 11. Wow. Usually that matchup goes the other way. But she also beat King Arthur, which is very surprising because King Arthur was thought to be favored into Little Red. But other than that, she didn't really have any favored matchups. She had like mid 40s to mid 50s against everyone else, except for Moon Knight and InGen, who actually dominated her. It makes sense that Moon Knight beats her. Little Red actually wins that 26% of the time, which is surprising, and she beat InGen 21% of the time. I think that's because map and position pick, getting both, is really important for Little Red in that matchup, because you can do the thing and pop all of InGen's workers turn one, but in Ladder, those are split, so I think Little Red is a lot less viable than in other formats. Moon Knight, InGen, and Luke Cage are clearly the three best heroes. Their win rates are like 15% higher than everyone else, and they got a ton more plays, at least the Redemption Row heroes did. InGen got like about average, slightly above average, only at 116 plays, where the other two heroes got like 220. They kind of have a weird interaction between the three of them. Moon Knight smashes everyone else this season, but actually loses to InGen and Luke Cage, which is why he's third, which might surprise everyone. Luke Cage actually beats both of them. He defeats InGen 75% of the time and Moon Knight 55% of the time. So that's like a roughly even matchup, but it's slightly Luke favored, and the fact that he just dunks on InGen makes him, I think, the hero to beat this season, or past season, and so he is actually the best hero in my mind. And InGen defeats Moon Knight 63% of the time. That's really good. You just play keep away all game and make him churn through your workers. That is a close matchup, though, because Moon Knight actually has really good ways to deal with fatigue, and you tend to draw a couple more cards than him with your traps, but it's close. I think it's just InGen favored because Khonshu doesn't get to hit you that often, and because InGen loses to Luke Cage, I think he's better than Moon Knight, but still second on this tier list. So please let me know what you think of this post-season review of Season 2, and yeah, just let me know your thoughts. And now, let us all just forget about Season 2 because Season 3 is the cool new hip trend. The 10 heroes for the season are Achilles, Buffy, Bullseye, Daredevil, Dracula, Elektra, Little Red Riding Hood, the Raptors, Robin Hood, and Yananga. So this is the first season for Buffy and the Raptors, who have not been included in one yet. It's also the first season for Bullseye, Elektra, and Daredevil, as they are part of the newly released Hell's Kitchen set that was released a month after Redemption Row. Achilles, Yananga, Robin Hood, and Dracula are making their return to Ladder from Season 1, and Little Red is the only fighter from Season 2 that is carrying over. So we got different heroes from different places all joining us. Let's start by going through them one by one. Achilles, I don't think will be as good as maybe his normal tier list would suggest. I think he's like a high B tier hero normally. I don't think he does particularly well into any of the Hell's Kitchen fighters just because Elektra and Daredevil have ways to avoid exhaustion, and Achilles tends to avoid very quickly, especially when Pat is dead. And in my very limited experience in this matchup, I think the Bullseye one is like even. I think he should stomp Little Red and probably stomps the Raptors, but like I think the Dracula matchup is even, the Yanega matchup is even. I think Robin Hood is actually favored, and I guess Buffy is Buffy. So really, I don't think he's going to do too well into anyone that will be doing well. Buffy is Buffy. She's the best character from the worst set, which still doesn't make her very good. It's good to see her with the Raptors and Robin Hood in this season, because I think with Xander, she's actually maybe slightly favored in those matchups, but I wouldn't really expect big things from anyone who isn't like seriously a Buffy main playing her. Shout out Poindexter. I hope he does well with her this season. Bullseye, who will be my new main. I think he's going to be a menace this season. I don't really like want to explain that more. I just think he's amazing, and I will dedicate my life to mastering him, and I will crush everyone else. Daredevil is very interesting because he should be really good against characters without feints, so Little Red and Yananga, probably good matchups for him because he can just cycle endlessly with Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Elektra's sidekicks don't have feints, so he can still cycle for a long time into her. And I think he just pretty much will just crush a lot of people who aren't able to aggress him. So it's good that we've got Achilles, the Raptors, and Robin Hood. And I guess Buffy Xander in here, and Dracula can play aggressively as well. Bullseye, super aggressive. So I think Daredevil will do decently into like maybe half of this season, and the other half should be able to beat him. Although with map and position picks split, I think he probably wants to go first, and that will just give him a pretty big advantage right out of the gate. Because if the enemy goes first, sure, Daredevil gets like a better map choice, but he can be aggressed much more easily right out of the gate, which I think will be kind of the recipe for beating him. So I really hope this season proves that Daredevil won't be the new best character in the game, because it seems like right now you just double maneuver with him, draw defenses, and then just hit with Devil and cycle. And I really don't like that. I think he's one of my least favorite characters to play against in the entire game, just because it's so luck based. It's like, oh, did he draw a defense? What value is he gonna blind boost for? Is he gonna accidentally discard his best cards? Is he gonna discard trash cards and just win because of that? I really hate how much luck is involved with his kit, and I find him so frustrating to play against because he's like a brick wall. And I think Zero Skater said that, so I'll attribute that quote to him. Some characters just like don't have enough firepower to break the wall. I'm not super happy about his existence in his current state. Dracula has suffered against the Volume 2 heroes because he gets punished by double attacks because he doesn't have a lot of blocks, and he isn't super great into any of the new Hell's Kitchen characters. I think maybe he can beat Daredevil, but he certainly doesn't beat Elektra, and I think he has like a 50-50 matchup with Bullseye. The Raptors and Robin Hood can be good for him, but those matchups can also go incredibly horrible for him if he just doesn't necessarily have the best luck. And I think Little Red and Xander are probably going to be his best matchups this season, so I wouldn't expect big things out of Dracula. Elektra, I really haven't played her enough to be able to tell how good she's going to be, or what her matchup spread even looks like, but I think with her Resurrection combo shenanigans, she will be very good. And just having 4 Meat Shield sidekicks that you can bring back 8 times more throughout the game is just crazy, and I think some more linear fighters like Achilles won't necessarily be able to deal with that. I think Bullseye, Daredevil, Yananga, maybe Robin Hood can probably beat her consistently. Maybe Little Red using what big hands you have on the hand. But I just don't know. And the one game I've played against her so far, I was the Raptors, and I actually won. Although I don't think that will be super common. And even Buffy, with all her like AoE damage, she's really good against 1 health sidekicks. I just don't think she has enough resources to outlast her. So I think Elektra will be one of the best exhaustion characters in the entire game, and this season will be a true test of like how good that will actually be in future metas. Her and Daredevil, I think, will really get um, their competitive status revealed this season, which I'm very curious to see. Little Red, again, like last season, I think she's going to be a very popular fighter. I think she'll be picked a lot just because she's a fan favorite, but I don't necessarily think she'll be super good. There is the Yananga matchup where she's, I think, slightly favored, but again, without map and position pick, she's less likely to be able to do the thing. And I think Achilles has a good matchup into her. The Raptors, I think, are favored from my perspective, just from my experience, but I know how she can win that. And I think actually Robin Hood is favored against her too, in addition to Daredevil and Dracula. I think she is favored versus Bullseye, and the Elektra matchup is one that I'm slightly concerned about. But overall, I think experienced red players will be able to pull out wins that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to pull out, or I should say lesser players wouldn't be able to pull out. So if you are red main, stick to your guns and you'll probably be fine. The Raptors, my precious girlies. I have so many favorites of mine in this season. Bullseye, the Raptors, Little Red, and Yananga are 4 of my top 5 favorite fighters. Bruce Lee is the 5th, but I really think the Raptors don't care about the map. I think they just care about going first. And against some of the other heroes this season, I think that'll be really good for them, like Little Red and Yananga, for instance. But when they go second, map matters a lot less, and I think they're off on the wrong foot already, which is unfortunate. Although Hero Rot is in this season, but if your opponent has map pick, they're probably not picking Hero Rot, and if you have position pick, you can go first on another map, but might be less advantageous, especially because like Hell's Kitchen and the Raft, the starting spaces are so far away from each other. So I think they probably won't be very good just because some of these new characters probably have ways to deal with them, in addition to there being like a lot of AoE from like Buffy and Daredevil with their ping damage. And some characters just might not let you hit them, like Elektra, and some characters just might hit you harder, like Achilles. So I'm very curious. I have faith in the Raptors, but I think the general populace does not. So they're probably just not going to be very good, unfortunately. But when I'm not playing Bullseye, I'll be playing the Raptors. Robin Hood. I'm curious about him. A lot of the mid tiers this season, actually a lot of this season, I'm unsure about. I think he kind of gets dumpstered by Yananga, although he, I think, is favored versus not Electra, Dracula and Achilles, in addition to Little Red. I think he is slightly favored in all three of those matchups, but against Buffy Xander specifically, I think Buffy is favored by a lot. I think Daredevil can probably beat him if he just threw Adversities the Outlaws and just is able to withstand your aggression, although getting double attacks on him will be very good. If there's any hope of Robin winning that matchup, it's based on his pressure. Although if he isn't able to pressure enough, or Daredevil is able to sustain it, you're just going to exhaust super quickly because of all the cards you've been drawing. And I'm actually very curious to see how Robin does into Elektra. I hope he's able to do that with his range and just ability to pressure. I think the key to defeating Hell's Kitchen, all three of them, is by being more aggressive, and there are certainly characters this season that are able to do that. So, like I said, curious to see how this plays out for this season. Seems very interesting. And Yenega, she's big one, but there are some question marks for her. I think Daredevil is favored just because Yenega doesn't have feints, so Devil of Hell's Kitchen will always go through and always cycle. So even though Yenega is decent in exhaustion, because she doesn't have card draw, I think Daredevil will just be able to outlast her. And a lot of his defensive values match up into Yenega's offensive values because Yenega attacks with a lot of like relatively low value attacks. Daredevil has relatively low value blocks. It's just he doesn't really have a lot of them. So if he's able to get the right combination of them in hand and sustain a big combo turn or constant aggression, I think he'll be fine. And I actually think Bullseye is favored against Yenega, believe it or not. And like I said, Little Red and the Raptors and Achilles can cause problems for Yenega, but I think she beats Elektra pretty hard. So I don't think she'll be like the clear big one of this season. I think there are enough like soft counters for her, but she'll still be good because she is Yenega. So here's my tier list for this season. Wait, I lied. We have to talk about the maps. We have the new Hell's Kitchen map in, which is just called Hell's Kitchen. And we have Hurorat and Hanging Gardens making their ladder debut, in addition to the Bronze from, I think, Season 1 and the Raft from Season 2. I have the items for both of the Marvel maps on the screen, and these actually have big implications for some of the fighters. So first of all, I think the Raptors will be really good on the Raft because of the card draw schemes. And I think Dracula will be really good on Hell's Kitchen because of the extra healing, the attack from anywhere, and the ability to get a third beast form. I just think that will be a really good map for him. In addition, Bullseye will be really good this season because of the maps. On Hurorat, the Raft, Hell's Kitchen, and Hanging Gardens, there are spots where he can hit any space on the board to attack, so you really can't escape him. On the Bronze, if he stands just inside the club in the top left entrance, he can hit everywhere on the map but the starting space for player 3, which is in that dark green zone along the bottom. Of course, on Hurorat, I think if 2 of the doors are closed, he can't hit anywhere, but he just stays inside the house and opens the door, and then he can hit you. It'll be really hard to escape Bullseye this season, which is why, if we look at my tier list, I think Bullseye will actually be the best hero. And this is largely due to personal bias, but part of me was also like, you're going to be wrong about this tier list, so why don't you just be wrong magnificently? So the Menace, my new main, will be the best hero this season, and I will see to it that it is so. I think it is largely because of the maps this season, and I think he has generally favorable matchups into everyone. Probably bad into Little Red. I think that Daredevil, Dracula, and Achilles will be close to 50-50s, and against the Raptors, I think it just matters who goes first. But against everyone else, I am confident in my Bullseye play that I could beat them, so I think Bullseye will be the big one this season. Speaking of big one, I think Yenenga will be top tier. She still is really good. Just this season might be weird because I don't think she's great into, like I said, Bullseye, probably not Daredevil, and Achilles and Little Red will probably be close to 50-50 matchups. Electra, I also think will be elite just because of her resurrection shenanigans and the combos she can pull off, but I really don't know what her matchup spread looks like, so I'm just going to be bold and claim she'll be top 3. This middle tier, in addition to the dumpster tier, I guess, I really am not sure. I think you could reorder these 6 heroes in any way, and it might be right. I just think Little Red will be probably the best because I think she has the best chance against all 3 of the heroes above her. Daredevil, I think, will be really good into Little Red and Yananga, but I think could be beat by a lot of the other parts of the roster. I really hope he isn't Sherlock 2.0, where he just maneuvers around all game, because that is just not interactive or fun. And in my experience so far on Ladder, he's probably my least favorite character to play against in the entire game. So I really hope he isn't super good. Robin Hood and Dracula, I think, are very even. It was kind of a toss-up who I put higher than who, but I think he has a seemingly decent matchup spread, and he can be aggressive. He has a lot of card draw. He has the playstyle to support that. So, and I think that's kind of the future of playing against Hell's Kitchen. So I think he probably has the best chance at being good into all 3 of them than some of the other heroes this season. Dracula, again, not really good into some of the new characters. We've seen how Battle of Legends Volume 2 kind of just has made him not high tier anymore. I think he struggles greatly against Electra. He is a 50-50 at best against Bullseye, and I don't know what he's going to be like into Daredevil, but I guess I'm just going to be a little bit unforgiving in this preseason rank and just err on the side of not really having that much faith, which is why he's probably the most questionable of the questionable heroes. I don't really think Achilles will get dumpstered. I just didn't want to put 5 heroes in questionable, but I think he has problems with his exhaustion against Daredevil and Elektra, and I guess Daredevil might not have good ways to kill Pat very quickly, but I think Elektra will be able to, especially with her hand. So her sidekicks, not her like physical hand of cards. And I think Achilles just doesn't have super favorable matchups into like anyone above him. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. So I don't think he's gonna be super great this season. Although anything's possible with him because he just has a pretty high power ceiling. So we'll see. And the Raptors, even though they are probably the most aggressive fighter in the game, well, maybe Bullseye is now, but I just don't think most people will be comfortable or good at playing them. But like I said, when I'm not playing Bullseye, I'll be playing the Raptors, so we'll see how I can do with them, and we'll report back at the end of the season where hopefully they've bumped up a tier or 3. And Buffy, kind of self-explanatory. I think she has like 2, maybe 3 decent matchups this season, but that will be about it. So let me know what you think of this tier list and what you think of my preseason salmon. Sorry that this Meta Monday is coming out on a Tuesday. Uh, I guess I have a little bit of a ramble now, just talking about like my channel and like the state of things. Just because with all the releases coming out this year, we had Redemption Row in February, Hell's Kitchen in March, and now the Jurassic Park 2 set is being shipped to my door as we speak at the beginning of May. I have made kind of just like a lot more different videos than I imagined I would be making at the beginning of the year. I'm talking a lot about this new UMLeague thing and Ladder, and I'm making a bunch of first impression videos, and I guess there was just a big tournament, so I've been posting videos about that, and I haven't really been making like regular strategy guide content that this channel was raised from. And part of me is a little disappointed about that, but the other part of me is excited in kind of like the new direction that I guess the the unmatched scene is taken. And I just want to say that if you watch me for the strategy guides, you probably didn't make it this far in the video, but I totally plan on, I guess, returning to those videos. I think probably by the beginning of June, I want to have probably 2 of the Battle of Legends Volume 2 heroes out, with the other 2 coming out later in the month. It's just right now there's a lot going on, and my attention is very spread, and the strategy guides are they take a lot of time, surprisingly, mostly just because I talk so much during those videos, but I want to make them the best they can be, and right now I guess there's a lot of other things happening that I haven't been able to devote a lot of time into making them. So don't worry, they'll be here. Probably won't make the Buffy ones anytime soon, but Battle of Legends Volume 2 should be out in June, and then I plan to start tackling the Marvel stuff by the end of the summer. I mentioned tournament videos earlier. I posted 4 of my 7 Swiss rounds, and then got lazy one week, didn't post week 5, and then just like didn't post week 6 or 7 either, just because editing like 3 hours of footage, commentating it, all that, it's just a lot. And I think I have lost some of the passion I had for making those types of videos at the start of the tournament, just because it's a lot to play the match, prep for the match, make a video about the match, and do that all in like a week. And I don't know if I will be making gameplay videos in the future, just because they take up a lot of time. So if you like those types of videos, please let me know. If you don't care for them, also please let me know, and that will just encourage me to stop. But that's kind of like a viewer preference thing, and if most of the people that watch the videos on this channel like don't really care about those videos, then I just won't put that effort into making them, which I guess is kind of unfortunate, but I think I can tackle my tournament journeys probably in other ways. Like I hope to start streaming over the summer. I think I need to get a better computer first, but that's something that could like replace those videos, just because editing them is a pain, especially when there's a lot of like dead air for thinking. We'll see. So that's something I want viewer feedback on. Yeah, this was, I guess, a nice just chat, me talking about what's going on. We're almost at 1,400 subscribers, which is absolutely awesome. I really never expected to get to 1,000, much less continue growing after that. And especially with these new like Marvel heroes coming out, I think the first impressions videos are just super interesting to make, and I am excited to like look back on them in a year and just be like, wow, I was super wrong about this character. Especially when I make the strategy guides for them, that'll be like a fun reflection project for me. So yeah, it's a super exciting time to be an Unmatched fan right now, just because of all the sets coming out all at once in one big burst. Just because of how everything slowed down last year. So I hope everyone is enjoying the new sets as much as I am. I'm still excited for the stuff coming out later this year, especially Houdini and the Genie. I'm really excited for those 2 characters, and I think the T-Rex perfectly fits into my playstyle of just aggressive and smashing things. So yeah, I think if I had to like predict my new favorite fighters in like a year, Bullseye's definitely be number 1. Houdini will probably be number 2. The Raptors will still be in there. Bruce Lee will probably be in there, and then that 5th slot, I really don't know if that'll be Yanenga, Little Red, the T-Rex, or someone else. So yeah, like I said, exciting times, busy times. I hope everyone is doing well. I know I have some viewers from Ukraine. It is unfathomable that what you're dealing with is still going on. I really hope you're doing well, that you're safe. And everyone else in other parts of the world, please stay healthy. COVID is still a thing. as much as we'd all like to forget it. But I guess I'll end this video by reminding all my homies to hydrate. Let's all take a big swig of water. Oh, that was divine. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, like, subscribe, and yeet.